the entrance to Yad Vashem, Jerusalem, the Holocaust Memorial, where they remember the lives of the 6 million men, women, and children that were exterminated during the Holocaust in what was supposed to be Christian Europe. And this symbol of suffering reminds us that to be chosen doesn't necessarily mean to avoid suffering in life. For the Jewish people have suffered perhaps more than any other nation in the history of the world. Their long history is one of suffering. And it is remembered here in particular because it just barely more than 70 years ago, the Holocaust occurred. But here they chronicle the lives of the 6 million. They remember them, and they remind the world that it can never forget what happened to the Jewish people. They were to be the children of light, blessing the nations. And how did the nations respond? Indeed, how could the world allow such a terrible Holocaust to occur in the first place?
One of the weirdest, and it's really a supernatural aspect of anti-Semitism, is that the greatest explosions of anti-Semitism have pretty much all taken place in places where Jews seemingly are most acceptable, most successful, and most comfortable. The classic example is Jews in Germany before the Holocaust, or Jews in Spain before the expulsion, or Jews in Poland before the Khmelnytsky massacres in the 17th century, or going all the way back in time to the Jews in Egypt 3,500 years ago, where they were doing great in Egypt, having been there for centuries.
Why were the Jews, who had been part of Europe's cultural mosaic for centuries, repeatedly singled out for persecution? Why did they, more than any other ethnic group, suffer so much? Some will argue that the answer to these questions is to be found in Jewish customs and distinctiveness. The fact that the Jews were different and habitually dressed differently than the general population. Others will say it was because they were never quite free from the accusation that they were Christ killers. Still others will claim that anti-Semitism arises because all nations, over time, need scapegoats when times are tough. And what better scapegoat could there be than the Jews? But why did this happen in Germany of all places? O Lord God of hosts, how long will you be angry against the prayer of your people? You have fed them with the bread of tears, and given them tears to drink in great measure. You have made us a strife to our neighbors, and our enemies laugh among themselves. Restore us, O God of hosts. Cause your face to shine, and we shall be saved. It's important to remember that when God called Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, He did not promise them or their descendants a painless journey through time. For one thing, He warned them in advance that they would be slaves in Egypt. Nor did God promise them that a life as His light bearers to the nations would be without challenge. He had summoned them to bring in heaven's light into a world caught in the grip of paganism and evil influences. They were to be His champions in a cosmic battle of good versus evil. This would inevitably place at odds with the purveyors of darkness. Remaining faithful to that mandate would prove costly for them, especially so in a world that did not know Him.